because you are not going to Home Depot and buying whatever variety they happen to be selling. You have
No, no.
definitely a unique collection of mangoes.
Yeah.
So how did you arrive at your selections?
I'm really obsessive, and when I started buying and growing mangoes, the first mango I ever had down here in Florida that was not from a store, a friend of mine gave to me, and it was a Madame Francis. And it just blew my head off. I know, people down here are maybe very used to Madame Francis and kind of pursue it as your average or maybe even below average mango. But to me, coming from somewhere where there weren't fresh mangoes, where you would go to the store and buy whatever variety they had in the cooler for 3 months, and coming home with something that tasted like a pine tree, it was a revelation. And so I couldn't get a Madame Francis fast enough, right? I went to, I don't even know where I picked the Madame Francis up from, but I had to have a Francis. So I got the Francis, and I thought, well, if Francis is good, then maybe the other mangoes in Haiti are also good. So I got corn, which I thought was interesting, simply because it was one that I'd never heard of. And I figured if I never heard of it, maybe other people hadn't heard of it as well. Who knows? It might be interesting. And that was pretty much the end of my fascination with Haitian mangoes, because then I got interested in Indian mangoes. I started watching YouTube, which is never a good thing to do when you're looking for Indian varieties, or for any variety, because there's a billion videos that attack you about... Yeah, the tasting videos where, you have these people slobbering all over the place and, this mango is great, and all of that stuff, and they don't really give you any detail. I think one of the things that I really like about Chris's videos is that you get a whole lot of detail as well as what the mango should taste like. And to me, that's a lot more informative than somebody sitting at a table munching down a mango saying, this is good. And that's very, very helpful to me. But somehow I ended up, I know how it was. A good friend of mine who happens to be Indian was telling me about the Indian mangoes. And I thought, okay, well, that might be interesting. So I started looking into Indian mangoes, and that's probably going to ultimately be my downfall, because there's like a zillion of them. And part of the thing that interests me about the Indian mangoes is that, not speaking the language, it's sometimes very difficult to figure out if they're the same mango as another mango, if they're a different mango. I like the research part of it as well, because you can have the same mango tree with 2 or 3 different names depending upon what region of India it's from. And I'm sure it's the same in other places as well, like Florida. But I think that's kind of fun as well. Now, having said all of this, and I ended up with a total of 14 trees from various parts of the world, but having said that, I've never tasted any of them, so they're all bought on theory. They might end up being terrible. Who knows? But the process of growing them and learning about them is really what I'm much more interested in. The fruit will be great. I mean, it's a bonus at the end of the day. But the culture is much more what I'm interested in.
Excellent.